For this month's web challenge, we're going to be creating a Python website using Flask or Django. So what you'll need to do is make sure you've installed Visual Studio 2013 or Visual Studio 2015. As well, Microsoft has moved the Python tools repository over to GitHub. So you're going to want to navigate to microsoft.github.io/ptvs. And on this page, we're going to go into PTVS 2.2 under the downloads. So if you scroll down this page, here's where you'll find your Python tools for Visual Studio 2015 and for 2013. Grab the version appropriate to your Visual Studio. As well, grab the sample pack, and you'll want to install those two things. Once that's all installed, we'll go over to Visual Studio, and we're going to create a new project. Now here under Python samples, we're going to create the Polls Django web project. You can name it whatever you want to name it. So like a regular template, it installs all the stuff, it creates all the files that we're going to need, but as well, since it's sample code, there's more happening in here. And this will be the first thing that you're going to run into. What you'll want to do is choose how you're going to install Python for this project. Now, we're going to install into a virtual environment for this demo, but you'll want to choose the appropriate version for any projects you're working on after this. So we'll have to give it a name, and we're just going to use defaults here. So this will take a minute or two to run, and all it's doing is installing local to the project the various Python bits that we need. Okay, so now that it's installed, and that could take a couple of minutes depending on your system, what we'll need to do is follow this configuration tutorial, which is very simple. So what we want to do is go up to Solution Explorer, and we're going to right click on the project, and under the Python item, we're going to go and do Django Sync DB. So what this is going to do is, this is actually going to sync the database materials for us, and we're going to have to set up a profile in here for administrative rights. So you'll be prompted for a couple of things here, and you'll see it's all working fine. And so what you need to do is create a super user if you haven't already. So if this is your first time running it, you're going to want to. So we type in yes. Unfortunately, Y is not accepted, and we need to use a username. It'll suggest a username based on materials, or you can add in your own. And we can see that it's created. So with that, what we want to do is come up here, and we'll run the site just to see that it's all working. Now you should expect to see this Python window open as well. And it'll take a minute for it to get running. And here we can see the Python site. We know it's our site because it's running in localhost. And we can create sample polls. We can go into the Django administration. So let's create sample polls. And this is the material we've already entered in. So we can come into here. So you actually have to do that twice if you noticed. You'll log in and then you'll have to click the button again. And we can see we have a couple of polls all ready to go. Now then, for the requirements on this month's test or this month's challenge is to show our code and to show the site. So what we're going to do is snap using the Windows key and the left arrow. Snap your web browser to one side and Windows key right arrow to snap your Visual Studio to the other side. So you'll want to make sure Visual Studio Explorer is open, and let's pick a file from here. We'll do any number of them could be usable. So let's do models.py. And there we can see some source code is here. So I'll get my Solution Explorer open again. And we can see a bunch of source code. We can see the solution and we can see the web browser. And at that point, let's take a screenshot. And there, use your favorite image editing tool to make sure that you've got it cleaned up. Just showing those two items, and that's ready for submission.